Hot button.
Starting with a song. What do video games mean to you guys?
Oh, that's a tough question.
I know, I'm just kidding. Don't answer. What I'm going to say is better anyway. All right. Everyone falls somewhere between this vast intersecting spectrums of interest, dedication, and respect, and a bunch of other words, because I couldn't really figure out exactly what kind
Admiration.
of intersecting spectrums I wanted to think. The point is, whether you play a few games of Call of Duty or Madden or your favorite fighter after work, or play so much StarCraft 2 that it becomes your country's entire national pastime. There's journalists, professional players, streamers, there's artists, programmers, all developers really. And then there's also that boomer that still calls everything Nintendo. And there's everyone in between. Undeniably, video games are part of our culture now. They're art, they spark intellectual discourse, they're technological marvel. We use them to express ourselves in creation and passion, talk about them, write about them, make whole podcasts about them. We even argue about them in the Supreme Court. They employ us, entertain us, and bring us together. So what do video games mean to me? Despite my best efforts, this isn't a podcast about me. I'm trying, though. We're going to get there one day. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the development of a game that is very important to me, and I'll save my love letter for the end. But it was a divisive game for a lot of people, so I think it's a pretty good example of how someone's trash can be another's treasure.
Fortnite.
So, welcome to Hot Button. I'm Randall Beatrice, and as always, I'm joined by Randall Beatrice and Arnold Blakeston.
Yeah, you got it right for once.
This feels weird. I don't like change.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm obviously Chris Alantuano, and
Obviously.
And I'm Austin Blakesley, not Arnold Blakeston.
I wrote several of those. Arnold Blakeston was the one I
I'm
landed
Chris Blakesley.
That's
Austin
why
Tuano.
That's why I didn't want you to do the intro.
Oh, okay.
I literally just wanted to make the joke. I'm Randall Beatrice, and as always, I'm joined by Randall Beatrice.
We do sound exactly the same. We get that a lot.
Yeah, of course, all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever your mom calls, I answer, "Hey, mother, it's old Randall."
Oh, God. I don't think I've ever referred to my mom as mother. I think that would really weird her out.
Use the word mommy.
Isn't that what the Damien Omen kid said? Didn't he call his mom mother?
It sounds a bit. If it's a
That
horror
sounds like
movie,
something a demon would do, yeah.
hello, mother. I call my mother, like, ironically, like, hey, mother.
Does she call you son?
Sometimes. Or shithead. Or literally, my mother will do this. I'm sorry if she figured out how to listen to podcasts about this. We'll say, like, her brother's names or my brother's name, like, Jimmy, James, Tony, shit, Christopher, whatever your fucking name is.
You got a bunch of long-lost brothers, dude.
Yeah. She does that all the time. It's amazing. All right. So, you guys ready to jump into it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our story begins October 1st, 2007.
Year of our Lord. I Googled this date, by the way. Apparently, Crank That Soldier Boy came out on October
What
1st.
an important day in history,
It was
everybody.
an important
On
day.
this day.
Check out the future of Hot Button episode on Crank That Soldier Boy.
Just a side story, if you want, real quick. We can leave this in or take it out. Me and my cousin used to run a music venue in Baltimore City.
Did Soldier Boy play there?
Well, no, when we were doing like the demolition and construction on the inside of the building during the summer, it was in the bad neighborhood in Baltimore City. We had
They're all bad neighborhoods in Baltimore City.
All we had was in our trunk that first night, which was a baseball bat, a crowbar, some bandanas, and a stereo. We only had a Soldier Boy CD, so we put on that Soldier Boy CD, and we were all like covered our faces, and we started like removing the stuff from the walls to get it down to the
Yeah,
brick.
the stucco.
But it was just us listening to Soldier Boy wearing bandanas, slashing at the walls with crowbars, and a bunch of people just open the door and walk in, because that happens in the city all the time, and they
Yeah.
were just stopped. And then
Stare at 'em.
walked away.
I've been to Baltimore. Your Subway restaurants have armed guards.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you don't want people getting away without paying $5 for their footlong.
Yeah. That's
that
the worst thing that's ever happened to Subway.
They got sued over those footlongs not actually being a foot long.
They got sued over less than a foot long, I'll tell you that.
How's Jared doing?
So I'll take it again.
Our
story begins on October 1st, 2007.
That's all staying in.
Yeah, when Microsoft and famous Oni developer Bungie decided to finally part ways. After a long and fruitful partnership for both companies, with the wild success of Oni, it was time for Bungie to move on. This is a quote from Harold Ryan, who's the former head of Bungie.
Harold Ramis?
Yeah. The quote: "The creative professionals who worked on the Halo franchise were used to being able to look around the room and see Bungie people. They felt lost inside the much bigger organization of Microsoft Game Studios, and despite the success of Halo, that desire to be independent is something that a significant number of people on the team still felt lacking."
Who are you calling Bungie people? I mean, that's how they got there. I mean, we talked about Bungie a lot on was it the Xbox episode?
And the Halo
And the
episode.
Oh, right. Well,
Yeah.
duh. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
The fucking Halo episode.
They did
Too many episodes now. I can't remember them anymore.
Just so you're aware, Randy, they made Halo in addition to Oni.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the same people that make Halo.
The
Sorry.
Ricochet guys.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's Valve.
Oh, wait. The Marathon guys.
There you go.
Okay.
Same syllables. All right.
Yeah.
So, from what I could gather, it seems like Microsoft wanted Bungie to make that sweet cash cow Halo until either the fans were sick of it or Bungie died. And obviously, they didn't want either to happen.
Halo 3 did real well. Microsoft wanted more of that.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Obviously, that didn't happen. So, Bungie wanted that freedom, and the cost of that freedom was two things: a stake in the newly founded Bungie LLC, and the loss of their franchise. So not only did they trade some equity in their new company to Microsoft, but Microsoft would maintain all of the rights to the intellectual property of Halo. I guess I can see, like, on a personal level, like, how that's, like, pretty intense for those people that worked on it.
Yeah, it's like Kojima's attachment to Metal Gear. I'm
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
You have to feel like some of that, but I also get the sense of relief from Bungie almost, because, like, they've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
I don't think they wanted to be the Halo company.
Absolutely not. And you
Yeah.
can tell that from the wild, like,
Yeah.
Myth and Marathon and
I mean,
Halo
all
and
those
all
games.
these weird things.
They hadn't
yeah.
been doing it for that long. If
In
you
the grand
factor
scheme
in
of
when the
things,
project
no?
of
Yeah,
Halo
yeah.
started to 2007, it was less than a decade.
Yeah, less than a decade.
Yeah.
That's still a long time to be
It
working on.
is a long time,
like, one
but considering certain game studios out there
yeah.
have been working on franchises
There's a lot of game studios.
longer than that.
There's
yeah.
a lot of game studios that are named after their franchise.
like
like
343 Industries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
and the
so-
Coalition.
Coalition. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a seemingly high price to pay for that independence, but Bungie wasn't about to let all that Oni steam go to waste. So,
Oni's come up so much. I'm a big fan of this.
at the 2008 Tokyo Game Show, during their presentation, Microsoft announced Halo 3 Recon.
I did not realize. Yeah, I saw that in your script, and I did
Yeah.
not realize that.
That would
was
be the last project that Bungie plans to do for the Halo franchise. When asked if Recon would be the, quote, final statement for Bungie, Halo PR director Brian Jarrett said, "I think so."
definitive.
Yeah, I know. Which, because of this, Bungie had two other unknown projects in development at the time. One of them, we'll find out eventually, was Reach. So, of course, that's why he was like, "I think so." And he also talked about that when Recon shipped, that the teams would move on to make some sort of new game or be absorbed into the other existing projects.
Right, yeah.
So a month later, Recon was renamed Halo 3 ODST, which is what we know it as.
Crazy that still has the 3 in there.
Recon's a better name.
I think so, too.
Do you think that's
like
stepping on Ghost Recon's toes?
No.
Maybe that, or maybe they just wanted like some sort of like, it's not the Spartan Recon armor, it's totally different.
Yeah. I mean, no, Recon is a better name than ODST.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's it. Bungie said no more Halo for them until E3 2009, when at the after the ODST presentation, they played a little teaser trailer for Halo Reach,
I remember that.
which would fall 2010, as
Yeah.
it said at the end of it, which is a really cool trailer. I remember that trailer too. It shows like
Yeah.
the planet getting like glassed
a lot of
by
the implications,
ships.
yeah.
Fall of Reach. I get
Yes.
it.
So I was gonna say a
And
lot of the
also came
implications
out
were
in the
surrounding
fall.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fuck.
they planned that one ahead.
But yeah, it was Reach for the most part was centered around that book. I mean, it's a prequel
Yeah.
to.
And
It is the book.
Also,
Yeah.
both, in my opinion, both ODST and Reach are awesome games. Like, I liked them both.
I'm a defender of ODST. I like ODST actually a lot. Reach. I'm not a big fan of.
Reach introduced a lot of shit that's made like the newer
I
Halos
agree.
kind of like
I
firefight
didn't like
and
the
like
class
all, like
system
the class
thing in
system
that.
and stuff.
Yeah, that
ODST was Firefight.
Oh, that was
Firefight is the
Okay,
shit.
shit.
I
thought
love
that
Firefight.
was yeah.
It started in ODST, but it's also in Reach.
Okay,
yeah.
I don't think I ever played more than just the campaign once through on ODST.
Oh my god! So we were watching. There was a couple weeks ago. I was hanging out with some people, and we were watching old video game commercials. Look up the short film that Microsoft produced for ODST. It's incredible.
Nice.
Like it's
A
like,
lot of their
Is
ads
that
are
the
really
live
good.
action one?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
the
like
one
what
where there
later
was, like,
probably
the-
became like District 9 or
Yeah,
something.
the
like
test footage. Yeah, where it's like
it's
and
it's like 15
Banshees
minutes
are
long.
flying
yeah,
over by.
it's so well done.
It
Like
is.
even
It's
now,
awesome.
like those effects hold up and everything. It's really
Oh yeah,
neat.
it's just incredible.
Yeah. It's really crazy. Halo
Right.
was always really good with ads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
Fucking
Believe
amazing.
ad with the mini figure set from
Oh
3
yeah.
is one of the best.
Nakey Jakey has a great video about video game commercials, and one of the big centerpieces is that Halo
Is that
ad.
one?
Yeah.
They
Is
had to
that the
take
diorama one?
The
Yeah,
diorama
yeah,
one,
that's
yeah.
right. They had to take it apart. I think the studio. Yeah, like the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same, but that's an incredible.
yeah.
Yes.
So, despite that mean addiction to Halo, Reach would actually be Bungie's last title in the franchise. Microsoft would hand over Halo to in-house 343 Industries, which was a company founded after the split in 2007 to manage the Halo media universe.
Yeah.
So they would go on to develop a new Halo trilogy and a bunch of other crap no one cares about, like that Halo app and Halo Infinite.
That app thing never worked. Well, Halo Infinite's not out. We don't know what that's gonna be.
I know, I'm just
I
fucking with you. No, I honestly
I
care too. I'm just
care.
kidding. 343 did a very good job. I still enjoy the campaigns. The multiplayer is a lot of fun.
I actually like Halo 4.
I think
probably more
Master
than
Chief
most
Collection
people.
is one of the coolest fucking
Halo
things
4
ever made.
In retrospect, is a little
is actually one is definitely my favorite of the non 1, 2, and
Bungie
3
ones.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Like the decision to focus on like the weird relationship between the Chief and
Yeah.
Cortana is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I like
It's a
the
shame
I like,
5 kind of.
I like the bad guy,
Yeah.
and I like all the the Forerunner stuff, because if you ever watched like
The Didact.
the Didact, yeah, which is that sick
Is that the
name.
other race? They create all those new
The
weapons?
Forerunners
that's
are the
the
other
Forerunners.
race.
The
Okay.
Forerunners are like the ancient people.
The
Yeah.
Didact was like the bad guy that
Okay, all right, I
Yeah.
remember that. It's been a little while since I
Very
played
cool
Halo
if you've
4.
never seen. I forget what it's called. It's like the Animatrix equivalent, but Halo. What's
Oh,
it called?
Halo Legends?
Halo,
Halo
Legends.
Legends,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was
It's
cool.
awesome. It's a bunch of short stories
Yeah.
done by different animators
I
and
remember
things.
that.
There's one that tells the backstory of the Forerunners, and it's done in like I guess you could say it's like old Robotech-y kind of anime.
It
like old
does, you know, it
80s
does have a
style
Robotech,
anime, and
Robotech
it's
look
incredible.
to it.
It's
yeah.
awesome.
The way everything moves and animates is very similar.
So, Bungie was finally moving on, but not before they would leave a small clue to their next adventure behind. In ODST,
This was crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
This was
You didn't
found.
know this?
No, I knew it after.
Yeah.
Like I didn't.
This was
at the
found
time,
years later,
yeah.
actually, too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So, in ODST, the player can come across a poster in one of the cities, and on that poster is a picture of Earth. And it has a small white circle at 2 o'clock. That's a reference to an analog clock for our younger listeners. It's basically centered around Eastern Russia or so. It's a two-dimensional picture, though. Above the Earth, in that mysterious white orb, on the top of the poster are the words, "Destiny awaits."
It's no coincidence.
No coincidence.
yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible, especially since 2009 is very early in that sort of development.
Yeah.
So, in 2010, Bungie, now separated from Microsoft, announces a 10-year partnership
It's a
with
long
Activision.
time. Yeah.
10 years.
10 years.
And they fulfilled the whole thing. Nothing went wrong.
So Activision, we know them. They're a company known for the How to Train Your Dragon video games and Call of Duty Ghosts.
That's
Those are
the
the
two
most
big ones,
popular
yeah.
titles. Bungie co-founder and big idea man Jason Jones had a lot to say about
he
his
came up
excitement
in our Halo episode. Yeah.
over this deal and a sweet Game Informer article I found at the time. Also, thank Game Informer. I was telling Austin before this. Usually when I was writing this last one, I was building like a timeline to help me like fill in the blanks while writing.
Was this cataloged
Game
online?
Informer literally had a development timeline for Destiny.
That's very helpful.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Game Informer. So, in this Game Informer article, he briefly mentions that he's been working on a new IP since the end of ODST. Him and a couple of other like the big head idea guys at Bungie were working on this project, and
Yeah. Everybody wanted to know what they were doing.
yeah, they had been pretty much ODST ended. They didn't even mess with Reach. They had a whole other team working on it. They just kind of went to work on like the absolute ground floor of this
Wasn't-
this new IP.
I don't know if you guys know, but I'm pretty sure that the team that made Reach was the team that they were essentially 343, but before they were incorporated.
Really?
So
That
it's
might that might make sense.
Bungie
yeah.
split into two teams. One was working on Destiny, which would go on to be Bungie proper, and then the Reach team just split off, formed their own company, and that was 343. Like they knew that
makes sense. It must have happened way back then.
They knew that
yeah.
was happening, but they didn't like get it done yet.
That's some foresight, I guess.
Also, I looked it up, but
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, I don't know if you listeners probably know, but 343, it's literally named after a character from Halo.
Yeah,
the
343 Guilty Spark.
It's like one of the characters. After that, he mentions quite a few times and seems to hammer home in this article this 10-year plan thing.
That
with
was
Activision.
they were banging that drum real hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So he talks about how with Halo they had no plan, and imagine what they could do with a 10-year plan back then. And to be honest, I don't think they really. I think Halo ended up pretty much exactly how it should have ended up. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
He talks about how it's nice as the design director to be able to plan out 10 years of stories ahead of time and know what they'll be doing 5 or 10 years from now. Also have the funding to be secured that long. Quote, everybody at Bungie, from the engineers to the artists to the designers, we're all storytellers. If you're a storyteller, what makes you excited is getting the biggest audience possible. For us, we're focused on now is making a great universe where we can tell any story that we want to for the next 10 years and tell it to as many people as possible. That's really what we're excited about.
I mean, it's really hard to predict though. Like a 10-year plan in video games is a really ambitious thing, but you can't foresee tech and fan response
Precisely.
and how long people are holding on to
I mean,
a world.
we'll get to it, obviously, but like the funny thing is the problems with Destiny, and we'll get there, are not the fault of the video game
No.
industry.
No, exactly.
It's an exciting
it's
prospect.
a very
though.
weird-
That's what I'm
It's just-
saying.
yeah.
Who wouldn't be excited? Like, in
Yeah.
retrospect,
Yes.
you're like, you fucking idiot. But think about that at the time. Like, think about that. Like, 10 years to mess with
Yeah.
one IP.
It
This is
reminds
incredible.
It
you know
reminds
what I
me a
mean?
little bit when BioWare came out before Mass Effect 1 and was like, this is going to be a trilogy and your character's going to carry over game to game. Like,
Yeah.
like that's a
Yeah,
really...
remember when they did that with Two Human and Advent Rising? For more information on those, listen to episode 3?
Yes, 3 was at
Somewhere
Horizon
around there.
7.
No, 8. 8 is Silicon Knights.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, yeah.
3 and 8.
We're getting better at this.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, as we just said, this excitement and enthusiasm for that type of longevity will come back and bite them in the ass later.
Oh, for sure.
The last part of this article is actually pretty interesting in retrospect and foreshadowing as well. They mention Activision's notorious practice of bleeding its IP strides for every single bit of content they can every year.
Look at Guitar Hero and Tony Hawk. And
Guitar Hero and Tony Hawk were explicitly mentioned in that
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know. To quote him again, Jeff Gerstmann had a quote where he was talking about meeting with people who worked in those games, and they would always say the same thing. They're like, if we could just take a year off, we could do so much. But they're always moving forward.
Always move forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and
it's-
this is something Activision is known for. So when they were asked about it, Bungie didn't seem to be concerned about that bottom line attitude that Activision had because they actually owned their new IP completely. So if Activision wanted to put off spin-offs or other things of that nature and off years or whatever, when they were taking time,
Right,
they would
yeah.
have to go through Bungie.
Can you imagine a world where Call of Duty took a year off? I
It might actually be good again.
I mean, they have multiple studios that are working multiple years, but still, it would be crazy. Like, it was a big deal when Ubisoft was like, we're taking a year off from Assassin's Creed, and then came out with Origins or whatever, and it was like a whole different thing. Like,
Yeah. It makes a big difference.
yeah.
So here's a quote.
Turns out games take
Also,
a long
I don't
time
know.
to make.
Yeah.
I don't know who this quote is from. It got a little bit convoluted. As me and Randall were talking beforehand, I just find out how awful people are at writing articles for random small papers and publications because, like, this is one of those articles where they keep mentioning people's last names but never introduce them. And also, on top of that, never say who's quoting. But
Right.
I'm sure this quote was from the higher-ups at Bungie. And this is in relation to about using their IP if they had to have their permission. Quote, ultimately, we make those decisions. So if we somehow felt that it aligned best with our projects and are the types of experiences we want to have within our universe, that would be a discussion we could have.
Okay.
It's pretty funny considering the strong arm Activision uses. in the-
Yeah.
This
as
is,
we know.
this is weird. These are a lot of weird quotes in retrospect.
Yeah. Because Bungie wasn't afraid of Activision just bleeding and strong arming, but they still
That's what
got
they
to
were
him.
known- Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, this is an interesting sidebar. In this article, they also have quotes from a game and electronics analyst
Yes.
named Michael Pachter.
You never
know
heard of
this
Michael
guy?
Pachter?
Yeah, this is I
Who's
now
Michael
know a
Pachter,
lot more
Austin?
You
about
never
him.
heard of Michael Pachter?
Should I have?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
once I started reading about him, like I felt like Austin
yeah,
or
like,
Randall
this
knows
name
about
sounds
him.
familiar.
so a
but I
little
don't-
side note on Michael Pachter. Michael Pachter is a
Now
I
I'm
don't
like
know
em-
everything about him, but
I'm, like, embarrassed
He's
if this is-
essentially like a Wall Street guy.
Yeah.
But he's like a Wall Street guy who's like super into games. And for
cool.
whatever reason, he's like one of the only people out there that like really knows like as much as Wall Street people should know about financial shit and as much as we know about video games.
Oh wow, that's an interesting crossover.
And like
Yeah.
that combined with the fact that he started doing this right around the advent of social media, like he gained a lot of a following. So a
He
lot
had a
of his
show.
like
I don't
a
know
lot
if it was
of-
on G4
yeah,
or an internet
he
show,
did,
but he had a show.
Oh shit. Okay,
Yeah.
that's where I. Yeah.
And a lot of his predictions and stuff are taken very seriously, and a lot of them are hilariously wrong, and a lot of them are dead on. So he's like,
He's,
but he has-
he's your general financial analyst, but
Yeah.
for
But he
electronics
has
and video
influence
games.
on like how people.
he's a financial analyst with the know-how that a lot of Wall Street people don't to predict how the game industry is going to go, and also the following to get people to write articles about his opinions.
Gotcha.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this quote about him, he says something about how they can potentially sell 5 million more units across Xbox and PlayStation now they're free from Microsoft.
Well, yeah, water is wet. Like.
Yeah. But in really looking up this guy, I found some funny quotes, and I'm not like misquoting him. This is from the article. We'll go a little bit into
yeah,
it. This is an article about the Mass Effect 3 debacle.
The
which,
ending,
if we
right?
don't do a story about this, it'll be part of a story that I
I'm
think
sure.
we
I'm
should
sure
do.
we will. Yeah.
Quote, that incident was a great example of what a whiny group of gamers are in general. And, another quote, the reason we get games like Max Payne and Alan Wake only every 6 years or so
Both
is
Remedy.
that developers strive for perfection, and whiny gamers are only going to cause their beloved games to take even longer between episodes. Yeah, I definitely scoffed at this. I was like a little pissed.
Yeah.
But, that,
He's not wrong.
Gamers
but
are willing
that's a
to put up
bad
with a lot of
attitude
shit
to have.
and
yes,
they're whiny.
it is a bad attitude to have. He's also a big proprietor against saying that microtransactions in certain games that don't belong are kind of greedy. Like, so he's not the worst kind of guy.
I like the two games he referenced are from the same fucking studio.
Yeah. And that piece is actually from a piece about whether or not game developers should cater to vocal minority, like in the Mass Effect scenario, which I think is incredibly interesting, and I really think we should do an episode about like
I'll take
No,
that.
yeah,
I'll take that.
you should
about,
do that one. Yeah.
about fans influencing developers.
Yes,
Yes.
Like, I think that'd be a great.
That is,
episode
man,
to
there's so
feature.
much you can do there.
Yeah, and I like I said, the Mass Effect thing was just one of them. Like I remember when I beat Mass Effect 3, I like literally was just like I was just so
So
disappointed.
you know what's crazy? We, me and Austin went to PAX the year that after that game came out, and it was also around the same time as Dragon Age 2, and people were not happy
Another
with
big
EA.
victory.
Yeah, so
No.
like, wasn't it
When we went to PAX, Dragon Age had just come out in December.
2?
Oh, are you talking about 2?
Yeah, 2
I'm
was the
talking
one
about-
everybody was real pissed about.
Oh, I'm talking about Inquisition.
No, that was 2014.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I think.
But we-
oh, wait.
We went before that.
No, okay. I specifically remember we went like a week before Mass Effect 3 came out.
Oh my God.
Because they had the multiplayer there, and everybody was pissed about the
Oh,
multiplayer
yeah,
and not
right.
having the regular game
Yes,
there.
yeah, I
That
do
was
remember
way
that.
before or that was a week before the Fallout.
That's a hard game to demo.
Sorry, Mass Effect, not Fallout.
Yeah, sorry,
on.
I know what you mean.
All right, so moving on. After this Activision announcement, the next bit of news to come out is about a year later. Kotaku publishes an article talking to an anonymous contractor who was recently fired from Bungie.
Oh. Did he say what he was fired for in this piece?
We'll get on to that right
Okay,
now.
yeah.
Quote, I and about 30 other people were let go for no reason recently after Bungie decided to let go of every employee who wasn't full-time employed. This
Oh.
included producers, artists, programmers, most of the IT staff, and security. We were given no warning and were actually told there was a full-time employee-only meeting and that we had to leave the building early, only to find out that once we left, our email accounts were killed.
Jesus.
They go on to say that an IT contractor received an email before it was killed saying that it was because, quote, poor performance and budgetary concerns from the publisher.
They're literally saying Activision
Yeah.
made us.
Made us fire.
Yeah.
So,
You know what's funny? Blizzard said the same thing when they got bought by
Really?
Activision. They're like, we're still Blizzard, and now
Oh, you're
Activision
right,
is
yeah.
driving Blizzard into the ground too.
Yeah.
So
Man, its company needs to die.
I know, it's...
Activision declines to
weird
respond
times.
altogether to
of
that.
course, yeah.
Because they're a giant corporation. They're not a game developer.
When did they buy King? Was that around this time?
Oh God, when was Candy Crush big?
It might have been around this time.
That was after.
And that was
I think,
big...
I think that purchase was after Destiny came out.
That was a very big purchase, though.
Yes.
So Bungie, however, does. They publish a response on their website saying that they've never been asked to lay off employees of any kind by the publisher. So along with the frustration over the poor performance claim,
Quote, unquote.
yeah, stifling the contractor's chance to find work after being suddenly let go. Like, that's not cool for a contractor to get a poor performance thing if you're going to find a new job. Now
Yeah,
that
that
you've
makes it
been
real
let go.
hard, as it turns
The guy
out.
kind of he kind of milks it a little bit, like we have families to feed and all this stuff. Like I don't think it was that serious, but it might have been. Like I have no idea.
That is not just Activision or Bungie. That happens a lot in the games
does.
industry. That's
Yeah.
why they're currently
Trying to...
fighting,
Yeah,
unionizing, and
unionizing.
stuff like that.
So the source also leaked. He wasn't just upset about that. He also decided to leak some info on this project that Bungie's working on.
You don't give a shit no more.
Yeah, the project is codenamed Tiger after Bungie's new
That's a
game
lame
engine.
code name.
That's the name of their game engine.
Oh, is that
they-
actually the name of the
yeah,
engine?
It's the
Okay.
Tiger engine. Is what they built. They were building at the time and
Great
built
engine.
it worked.
Tiger.
Tiger.
So this game was a science fiction MMO with first-person shooter elements named Destiny.
Oh. Man, that was the first reveal of that name.
Yep, that was it right
Named
there.
Defiance.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to do a sort of bullet point run thing here, focusing on the things that happened and stood out through the development leading up to the release.
Yeah.
So.
I don't like the name of this company you're about to say because I read your script and I had to do a double take. And...
A company by the name of Podophobia or Podophobia. I don't know how would you say
Way
it.
too close.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Podophobia Entertainment, Podophobia Entertainment, whatever, which is thought to be a Bungie dummy corporation because it was actually owned by two of like the Bungie heads.
Okay.
They trademarked the name Destiny along with a logo, which is that Master Chief crotch logo. You ever
Yeah,
seen that
yeah.
picture? The Destiny logo looks
Yeah.
like Master Chief's like groin
Cod piece.
kick. That logo of which is the same as one seen on the shirt of a Bungie employee in a Petty Arcade video. I looked
Wait,
for the
really?
video, I couldn't find it.
Okay, I got to see if it's probably archived somewhere.
Yeah, I was looking and I feel like going through a bunch of
All
videos
that
just
shit.
to find one
Yeah,
thing.
I know.
I'll
What?
take the word for
What
it.
did Pedophilia Entertainment do?
Later
Oh
on,
damn it! I was gonna. I had such a Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. Later on in the year, Jason Jones, in the most boring YouTube video I've ever watched in my entire fucking life,
How long
Guy's
was
such
it?
a nerd.
Dork.
Dork.
he was talking about the Tiger engine. I watched it thinking it was going to be some sort of Bungie development piece. No, it was, so it was a bunch of boring tech stuff, and there was a bunch of stuff about this new upcoming game. It's going to be all blah, 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 E3 buzzword, change the face of gaming. It's
God,
gonna
yeah,
be
we just watched
different.
E3. We know all
Yeah.
about this fucking buzzwords.
So, a bunch of that crap.
Did you know that Avengers is going to change the way we play video games by using QuickTime events?
Whoa!
So, the following year, this 10-year publishing contract is released. As a casualty of the court case between former Infinity Ward devs Jason West and Vince Zampella,
Zampella.
What was that?
and Activision. I didn't look into this because I figured it was something you guys already had down.
Wait, you don't know
as
about that?
an
I think
episode
so.
lit. Yeah. So,
I know a lot of-
we
a lot
can
of
do
video
a whole,
game
we can
court
do a whole
cases.
episode about that. That's
Yeah.
how Respawn was founded.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Basically, Modern Warfare 2 came out,
This is 2009.
made a bunch of money.
It sure did.
Activision made up some fucking bullshit about how they didn't owe anybody at Infinity Ward any bonuses or anything for some random reason. So the founders of Infinity Ward, who are Jason West and Vince Zampella, left,
Yeah.
formed Respawn, and then sued them for said bonuses and won. So
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So, as a result of that court case, a bunch of documents were released by Activision. One of them was the contract between Bungie and Activision. It states that Bungie would release 4 Destiny games every other year starting fall 2013. Or we'll get there. And a major DLC every other year starting fall 2014.
Okay.
Only thing that came out of this was Bungie confirming fall 2013 release date.
The same season as the new consoles dropping.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember this. I remember seeing like
Yes.
the things, the pictures from the contracts.
I remember getting very excited, being like, "Shit, new Bungie game every year, fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then,
Well, yeah.
That would have been really crazy if Destiny dropped when the Xbox One and PS4 came out, like as a true next gen game. I mean, that was a cross gen thing.
we'll
but
get
I guess
into
it was-
why that didn't happen.
Yeah. So later that year, you guessed it, another leak. This time was
Leaking
from
ships.
This time was from IGN released this article. Apparently it was from an
Really?
advertising agency who had put together a Destiny presentation. Like, I just think about this. Like, I work for a company who makes CDs and DVD art and produces CDs and shit
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I see unreleased CDs for bands that we know and
Yeah.
bands that a lot of people know all the time.
And some
You
games.
sent me a Snapchat.
Yeah,
of
recently,
one.
a band we all listen to.
I won't say.
Yeah, but like, it's cool to see that shit ahead of time. It's
Yeah.
no different than if I just took a picture and tweeted like somebody's new album is coming out.
When I worked at the movie theater, we'd get press kits and stuff time for
Yeah.
stuff that was not
Precisely.
like really revealed
So
yet.
somebody at this fucking advertisement agency who played Halo was like, "Oh, sick! Bungie's got something new." Leaked it to somebody they knew at IGN
didn't
or
one of the
emailed them or
Assassin's Creed
something.
games leaked because they sent toys to GameStop like to put out? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like how every Marvel movie, the story inevitably starts to leak because they have to release the Lego sets before the movie
Yes,
comes
yeah,
out.
that's always
Happens
weird.
every Marvel movie.
Well,
it's hilarious.
as somebody, and not to say too much here, but like my mom used to work in the commercial art industry, and a lot of the time she would get screeners for films before they hit theaters because she was being contracted to work on merchandise. So it doesn't matter if the property was as big as Star Wars or Lord of the Rings, or if it was as small as like it as some sci-fi television show. But like it was weird to think that like there's a lot of hands responsible for this stuff.
a ton of stuff to keep
like, it's-
quiet.
My mom's a hematologist. She gets to see all the new blood coming out. And it's really cool.
There's leaks.
This leak was a bunch of concept art accompanying a pitch for the story.
That's probably some really dope concept.
Yes.
Oh, God. The concept art for Destiny is awesome.
I know. I would frame it and put it on the wall in my house.
So it also referenced pitches for it was a pitch for the story. It referenced things like the last city and a moon-sized alien ship known as the Traveler.
Yeah.
All things that are important to Destiny. I ate this shit up like the world-building
Yo,
obsessed child
me
I am.
too.
Same,
This
same.
fucking concept art was so sick. The first one that came out was a picture of what is now vandals in the video game
Yeah.
walking next to a spider tank in the snow.
I
And
remember that
picture was the
exact-
first ever picture released, and it's fucking incredible. I
I
was like,
remember
what
the
is
exact
this?
Yeah.
picture you're talking about.
Are these good guys,
Yeah.
bad guys? What is this? Is this like
Yo,
the
I got
snow?
some thumbnail ideas.
I want it.
And then also it released like the famous one where it's like a hunter-looking character looking up at this giant like weird techno structure, which is like Vex technology on
Right.
Venus. All that early concept art that everybody like just fawned over, myself
Yeah.
included. All that came out in this leak, and
We went to
some of it wasn't even Bungie art. It was whoever worked at the advertising agency that contracted other artists and shit
really?
like that. So some of it wasn't even Bungie's art.
we
It
went
was just
to
concept art in general.
we went to PAX one year and they had like an auction for concept art, and this was around this time, and there was a lot. This was like right before a lot of the next gen consoles were out. And even a game as humdrum as like Killzone Liberation was at the PS4 had some like amazing looking concept art that they were like
Yeah.
selling there. It's
Nice. Ask Chelsea about this. Me and her were in D.C. at the American History Museum or Art Museum, whatever the fuck it's called. And we were there. There was an art of video games
oh, that's cool.
tour going through like a thing, and there were like original drawings of like the Fallout characters, original Sonic drawings,
Wow.
like all this old like OG
Nebraskan?
concept art, like just sitting there. Like
Me and
of,
you
like,
have the
shit.
Half-Life, or not the Half-Life, the Valve one. It
Yeah,
has all
yeah,
the old, early
exactly.
concept art, Portal
Yeah.
and Team Fortress and stuff.
I know, it's
really
incredible.
fucking cool. Yeah.
Concept artists.
Yeah.
That's the job. man.
You guys are dope. Keep doing what you're doing.
So finally,
My wallpaper is still that Titanfall concept art. It's gorgeous.
yeah, right. Finally, in February 2013, Bungie officially announces
Yeah.
Destiny.
On their terms.
A game that everybody already knew about for 2 years. It was supposed to be released on Xbox 360, PS3, and PS4.
Wait, there's no Xbox One?
Xbox One wasn't announced until May 2013.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
Everybody knew it was coming
Well, yeah,
because
it's
of the
on
PS4.
fucking 360.
Yeah. But it wasn't officially announced
no PC.
yet.
Yeah,
it wasn't officially announced yet, so it wasn't listed.
Yeah.
Also, PC was originally supposed to be in the I think maybe it was either part of the contract or original talks. They were like, it's going to be on PC, but
still, cross-gen has been proven to be real successful for games like Grand Theft Auto 5 and stuff like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Can I cut in here?
Yeah.
Because I remember this happening. So the way they announced this was they invited a bunch of journalists into their offices.
Yeah.
Did you read about this?
Yeah, I did. I read it. I didn't want to add too much because the article's kind of awesome.
Yeah. So this was... I remember hearing stories about this on podcasts and stuff, but they invited journalists into their office, and they did like these pitches for them. There's a great quote, again, from Giant Bomb, I think it was Jeff, where he's talking about... It was from their Game of the Year podcast where they're talking about whether or not to put Destiny on the list.
Oh, yeah.
And Jeff is talking about how he got invited to this meeting, and he's like, if this game came out, this would be a different conversation.
Yeah.
Because he's like...
Destiny should be Game of the Year.
They're talking about how he's like, yeah, you'll go into this random area, and you'll find a random enemy nobody's ever seen before.
It's your story.
And you'll fight it. It's your story. You're shaping it as you go.
How did you get this gun?
And it's like, you find this random gun, and then you can show it off at the tower, and all these people will be like, how did you get that gun? And then Jeff's like, I know how they got that gun. They did this strike because this strike only drops that gun.
Yeah, I got it from one of the two places that I can get it.
But
you can get
this
it from.
is a consistent problem that will plague this game until the end of its life, is the content scaling and just the scope of what they want to accomplish.
Also, apparently, every
ambitious.
time journalists kept asking questions like, hey, what about this? Does your game do this? Does your game do this? It kept going like, we got Paul McCartney writing a song for it. So
I can't wait to talk about that E3 presentation now.
At Sony's E3 conference that year, amazing gameplay footage was shown.
I remember this.
I know. I remember this too.
Yeah.
It was the thing we were talking about the other day with they finding the Thunder Lord and like picking it up and all the notes and the gun and all that shit. They also announced that PlayStation would have exclusive content.
Fuck them, man. They're still doing it. What game at E3, Austin? The Avengers. Was that Avengers that said they would have it exclusive?
yeah.
Fucking...
Which is funny because, not to cut ahead in our story, but spoiler alert, Bungie just announced their independence from Activision.
Yeah.
And
I don't bring that up, but we can kind of talk about it.
Okay, we'll talk about it at the end. I'm going to bring it up at the end. But they talked about their independence. And one of the things they talked about with their independence that they were very proud of was the fact that they no longer had to do
that.
console platform exclusives. They're like, sorry, PS4 players, you're not going to be getting any exclusive strikes or guns. And people are like, dude, I don't care if Xbox people can also use the shit that I have.
They never cared.
Do you remember what happened in Destiny 2 when they accidentally made that PlayStation exclusive gun available to Xbox One and PC users, and they had to go back and like remove it, and it's just
it's absurd, and it's absurd because, not to get into I wanted to try. I bring this up later. I wanted to try to keep out a lot of the specific Destiny stuff because it was a story about a game company and what happened to their game development.
Yeah.
If you want to get into the actual Destiny, either be a fan or we can talk, buy me a beer, or just read other stuff. But there was a gun called the Hawk Moon, which is specific to PS4. Awesome hand cannon, exotic gun, incredible.
Was that the one that leaked?
It's
That might have been...
upsetting that you didn't get to play it on Xbox. I remember not getting these strikes until a year or two later.
That's aggravating, especially because you're repeating the same
aggravating.
strikes. So it's like a platform exclusive shit sucks.
So, in the fall of 2013, when the game was supposed to be originally released, because this is at E3 2013, so we're coming up on when it's supposed to be released, they announced, hey, the beta is coming in 2014.
Yeah.
So, the game's supposed to be out, and they're announcing a beta instead.
10-year plan.
This happens.
Yeah.
10-year plan. At the end of the year, in December, Game Informer does its December cover story on Destiny.
I have that
I actually have this one still, too.
I do too.
Yep, me
It's
too.
incredible.
Yeah.
They talk about the weapons, the enemies, the character development, the classes, basically all the core game elements. They talk about the matchmaking.
Yeah.
All this cool little details are incredible. They talk about the classes, which are called, like, functions or something weird. Not functions. Some other word. They're not called, like, subclasses.
Yeah.
Fusions, maybe? I don't know. They talk about all this cool shit. It's incredible. They also seem to talk about this epic Star Wars scale of, quote, mythic proportions, a mythic adventure in space.
This felt really important. Like, like you thought you were going to be, like, seeing the
This is a
beginning
point
of-
they've hammered home for a while. Listen to Jones back in the original 10-year plan. Think about all the stories we come up with in 10 years.
Yeah.
Look at the media empire that Halo has
So
expanded for
that's
a
the
story.
point I wanted to
This is
make is
Bungie.
that I fell for it because they had a proven track
This is
record,
Bungie,
right?
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
You
They
know
didn't
what?
need to
you know
prove
what
themselves,
Halo is?
yeah.
An epic fucking Star Wars
Yeah.
mythic style
Yeah.
story.
It is.
is.
It's a space opera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, this is going to be the next World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
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 It's a great art style, too. I didn't bring this up, but Destiny was originally in the very, 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 very proto stages, probably back when ODST was still in development.
Yeah.
Was supposed to be a fantasy game. Swords and shields and spears
Right.
and shit like that.
You can still see that influence
Exactly.
in there, yeah.
When they shifted to sci-fi, they kept that. That's why all like the Titan armor looks like a knight's
Yeah,
armor.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very cool.
And it's an awesome blend.
It
I
is an
love
awesome
the
blend.
art
We
style.
talked about this too. It's a great fucking
I don't
aesthetic.
think
When-
anybody would ever argue against the art direction
When
of the
Des-
Destiny
when
games.
Absolutely
Destiny,
not.
when
It's
Destiny
phenomenal.
2 was getting announced and it got announced for PC,
Yeah.
and I was like trying to convince all our friends to hop aboard the Destiny train with me and stuff because I played a lot of Destiny 1
And they didn't,
like
because it wasn't
most
on
of
PC,
my
yeah.
Destiny 1 time was like solo and I really wanted to play it with a fire team and like they kept making jokes about space wizards because
the Peter
they're wizards
Dinklage.
from the moon
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And like I was like, yeah, motherfuckers, I
Yeah,
fucking
space
love
wizards,
space
yeah.
wizards. Fucking A space wizards. They're
Yes.
awesome.
Space wizards, space knights, you know,
Fucking
space
there's like that
thieves.
combination of like hyper like star-trek sci-fi.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
not gritty
Combined with, like-
sci-fi necessarily. It's like
Combined with a
positive
little bit of like a
post-apocalyptic.
little bit of dirty sci-fi and then like the tattered robes and shit of like a
Yeah.
fantasy.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
It is a great
I'm
aesthetic.
into it.
Yeah.
Destiny absolutely kills it in this department.
They also
But-
kill it in skyboxes.
Yes.
Oh god,
And
yeah.
Destiny is
like the
loaded
best
with
looking
incredible
skyboxes I've
skyboxes.
ever
I mean,
seen.
Bungie
Yeah.
kills it in art in general.
They do,
I mean,
yeah.
like the designs of all the
Oh
enemies.
yeah, we mentioned
and-
this in the Halo
yeah.
episode. It's some of the most iconic weapons and designs of creatures and vehicles and worlds and the music and sound effects
It's
to
a
go
staple.
along with it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
they know what they're fucking doing.
The
yeah.
iconography, like
Yeah. The language
To
is-
go back to E3, at the E3 thing, they announced Sea of Thieves. This was at the Inside Xbox thing that you didn't watch. Apparently, I think I missed it, but apparently, if you play Sea of Thieves the week of E3, you got like a Halo-themed pirate ship, and it had like the masthead, you know, the mermaid that's on the front of the
Yeah,
ship.
yeah.
It was Master Chief, and then the sails had the UNSC logo on it.
That's
and
real
I'm watching
dumb.
it on Discord
Okay.
with people, and I just went, "Oh, they're talking about Sea of Thieves now," and like Josh is like, "Oh, cool." And then I was like, hey, wait, Halo? I just saw, all I saw was the UNSC logo, which is the most generic logo ever. It's an
Yeah.
eagle over a globe.
Yeah.
And I recognized it like that.
Those motherfuckers should be
Yeah.
working on movies. That's,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, sure.
yeah.
So this was incredible, and I'm kind of foreshadowing here. Obviously, they hammer home the point of an epic story, just like Austin said. I'm sure Randall would reiterate, and myself.
Yeah.
We fell for it. Bungie is great storytellers.
I went to that midnight
Bungie
lunch.
is great storytellers. Bungie are great storytellers. I'm not good
Sort
English.
of. The way that they deliver their stories is poor. Like they do the hard
fair.
part.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like building the world
But
is
not in Halo.
No, not in Halo, but I more mean like Destiny. Like it.
Well,
Well, we'll get
We'll
there.
get-
Well,
to-
sorry,
we'll
we'll
get
get
to
that.
why.
It's squandered,
But yes.
but
So-
the setup is
yes.
is there.
All right, so in April 2014, beloved composer Martin O'Donnell was fired from Bungie. This is from his Twitter. Quote, I'm saddened to say that Bungie's board of directors had terminated me without cause on April 11th, 2014. End quote.
That is sad.
This is crazy stuff in itself. You know who Martin O'Donnell is?
Yeah,
He's, you know...
we bring him up on our yeah,
like,
absolutely.
fuck-
He's
composer.
he's the guy that made that Halo song in 2 days in our
Yeah.
Halo episode.
Yeah.
Go back.
So
and-
was this around the time they announced that Paul McCartney was going to be involved?
Yes. Okay. So I have this article up. It's on VentureBeat. It's called "Ex-Bungie Composer Martin O'Donnell Wins Epic Legal Fight with Former Bosses." There's a bunch of terms in this that I don't understand about stock options and how stock is converted to different things when the company is sold from Microsoft to Activision and Bungie.
yeah.
I don't fucking get it. It's very long and complicated. But the roundabout thing that happened is this: O'Donnell was working with ex-Beatle Paul McCartney.
what a world.
They were recording this epic kind of composition called "The Music of the Spheres."
They're dumb.
So dumb. Opposed to how Halo is used like this, like segmented songs and different things.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be more like this overarching story kind of tale that they were going to release as like a CD kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then that Bungie would use it for the game. Well, O'Donnell like took vacation or something.
Music of the
or
Spheres.
he wanted to release the CD, and Bungie was like, chill, we don't want to release it yet. Or Activision was like, no, fuck him, don't release a CD, we don't have money for that shit. And
I wonder if that was Activision's sort of power to get Paul McCartney involved. I mean, they did
Yeah, I'm not sure.
didn't Michael Giacchio do the score for like
Well,
Call
O'Donnell
of
was
Duty
also
and stuff
a
like
general.
that?
He was a
Yes.
Trent
composer.
Reznor did
Yeah,
for Black
O'Donnell's
Ops.
also a composer. It's very possible he knew Paul McCartney
Sure,
just
yeah.
from being a musician and
Yeah,
a
that's
composer. So the point is, he left on vacation and they came back. There's all sorts of this stuff in this article, how he's like dejected and like barely wants to work on anything when he comes back and all this shit.
Yeah.
And like, he ends up getting like, not fired, but they're like, they give him a poor performance review and they're like, why are you not playing
What?
ball with us? Yeah, because like he basically goes like, I want to put this out on my own.
Yeah.
He like takes copies and like there's all this shit.
Oh my
like,
God.
He does not get paid for his vacation.
Yeah.
So they literally fire his ass.
I remember all
Jesus.
this.
And he basically is like has CDs and they're worried that he's gonna cause problems. They didn't want to fire him originally, but then he started being an asshole, and one of the Bungie guys was like, "No, get him out of here." But he was one of the founding members, like stock wise, of Bungie in general.
Yeah.
So he had like a significant stake in the company, and they were
Yeah.
like worried. Like literally, there's a quote in here where they're like, "He's gonna cause problems at board meetings."
Oh my God.
So they're like, we got to get his stock back. He ended up suing to
That's
get his
dark.
like vacation time paid.
Yeah.
It is intense. I
Holy
couldn't even
shit.
begin to do it justice. The reason I didn't add it in is
Yeah.
because it would have added
It's like a whole new
30 minutes
chapter
to the
in
fucking
itself.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So read this article. It's an insane story, and I might have got some of that TLDR wrong. So don't quote me on it. Like I said, it's insane. It involves stock options and people getting fired and weird.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But it would have added quite a bit, so I think it's best you just look it up, or we do a mini-sode or something. I don't know. Who knows? So, Activision CEO Bobby Kotick
Yeah.
Bobby Kotick.
Bobby Kotick.
says that Destiny will cost $500 million to develop.
Fucking crazy. So we were talking about this before we started recording that Destiny still technically holds the record for the highest budget game of all time.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out like
What it is, because
What
when
it
you
is,
mentioned that
yeah.
before to me, and I was like, oh, that's crazy, I was looking it up, researching last night. When you just research it in general, I think Modern Warfare 2 and a bunch of other GTA and a bunch of other games are
yeah,
ahead
for
of
actual
Destiny on the
development
list.
costs.
For development costs, because companies will put their own development and marketing into it.
Yeah.
Well, that happened.
Because that's the thing, you don't need to market Call
Yeah.
of Duty. You don't need to market Grand Theft Auto.
Not nearly as
Not
much.
nearly as you do, but not to the degree of like launching a new IP.
Yeah.
So like so it was really crazy that you were like,
Yeah.
okay, like I found out like Destiny costed around this much. Like,
Yeah,
where did
in
the rest
general,
of this come into?
140 million or so in development, 140 million in marketing.
Yeah.
That does not include what Activision or Sony.
Or Sony, yeah, because that's a lot of this. It came out of, and you'll get into it, but like Activision had their own push, and then Sony had their own push. Like
I think a
it's-
lot of the funding.
a lot of the PS4's early success was like
yeah.
built around this.
I
It's
think
crazy.
that was the deal. I think
Yeah.
Activision was looking for a way to spend less of their own money to develop this new IP, and Sony was looking for some sort of launch titles or some sort of
Yeah.
proper thing to put exclusively on the PS4. And they were like, "We're big corporations, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's make a deal." Bungie just got caught in the middle of all that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, insane. $500 million. That
half
number,
a
everything in it,
billion.
$500 million
Yeah.
for a goddamn video game. I love games much the next guy, but like fuck.
Well, yeah,
sake.
that's how much do Marvel movies cost?
Endgame costs more than this.
yeah.
Okay,
For
well,
sure.
that's Endgame.
It was like
I know.
700
Yeah.
million or something. insane
Endgame
like
was
that.
almost $1 billion, I think.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay.
With marketing and development and special effects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Endgame was close to $1 billion.
Also
Okay.
But that's the
worldwide
most
revenue.
Expensive movie. I mean, yeah.
That's the most expensive movie ever made, and it's also like a guaranteed return.
That's
Essentially,
true.
Yeah.
This is up there with some of the bigger movies, though, for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so 2014 E3, PlayStation shows some more Destiny. Goodbye all that old weird nodes for the weapons and the one guy fighting the big boss in the room. Like,
Yeah.
no. This is a little bit more on the scale of them, like, walking around the public areas, the big maps, and
Peter
like,
Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. It shows a little bit more gameplay. Classic fucking E3 garbage of, like, bad ADR fight fire team.
Did they do
playing
that in
through,
that?
like,
That's a
I'm
very-
almost
yeah.
100%
Did they
sure.
slow walk to kind of take in the atmosphere?
Yeah, just that kind of garbage.
Yeah.
But as well, Sony's conference, they showed the slick all-white PS4.
Yeah.
Randall, you got some
I do.
thoughts on this?
Okay, so me and a friend of ours who I guess maybe they'll remain nameless just because of the nature of working in a warehouse. Like, so we used to do inventory for Best Buy at this time.
Yeah.
So the PS4 launch models did very well. And when that first batch got sold around holiday of 2014, these white PS4s were all you can get. Like, production was dialed back on those black PlayStation 4s.
The regular.
And the regular ones, and the white PS4s was all that we got truck after truck. And those came with a physical version of Destiny 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it came
so
with the
like,
box.
it came with the box. Those white PS4s.
And you had to pay for it, right?
Yeah, it was
wa-
$50. So
It was
like,
you got Destiny included for $50 extra, but you couldn't just buy a PS4 if you were short on money.
yes. So it was a $450 bundle, which I guess you saved $10 rather than buying them separately. But it was really crazy to me to see that coming through because it was like, at the holiday time, everybody wanted a PS4. It was the hot new thing, and it was like you were integrated into the Destiny life whether you wanted to or not.
Yeah.
Like, it's like these things were not just... These were the only things that occupied the shelves for several months.
Yeah.
So it goes to show what that partnership with Sony was. Like, it was... like, to look back at that now is a little like different because it's like, yeah, they had exclusive content or whatever, but it was like, no, the hand that the PlayStation brand had in Destiny was way bigger than what I think people thought it was going to be.
I think a lot of that, the early development money, and I'm sure a lot of that marketing came from Sony.
Yeah.
They leaned hard on that fucking exclusive shit. I've never played a game.
They had a partnership with
other-
Red Bull.
Yeah, I've
some
never
shit
played
at
a
the time.
game other than this that had exclusives for one console and not the other.
Yes.
This is the only game I've ever played where I physically couldn't access content that other people could. Some of those strikes were pretty cool when we eventually got
And let me
that.
tell you,
That's
it
frustrating.
fucking worked. Like, the attachment rate of Destiny for PS4 owners was
Absolutely.
huge. Like, me and Austin bought the Xbox One version, I think, at launch.
I did as well.
Yeah, so and that was sold separately, and it was funny because once the numbers were put out, they're like, yo, the majority of our users are on PlayStation. And it's like, of course they fucking were. Like, that was the only version that
Yeah,
existed
that's-
if you wanted a PlayStation 4. Like,
I bought it. I bought the Taken King collection on PS4.
Nice.
So I could play the extra strikes because I'm a dumbass.
it just boggled them. Just looking back on it, I thought it was really. I mean, it's a slick looking PS4. I'll give that to it, but it's
It
It's
looked
just
nice.
it's
It was
just
nice.
white,
It was
isn't
classic.
it?
Yeah.
it doesn't have like a split color thing going on.
No, it's literally
That's
just
the
white.
white one?
Yeah,
It just looks
like
split
that
color
Sunset
because
Xbox?
it's part of it's plastic and part of it's clear plastic, part of it's matte.
It's
plastic.
just I never saw anything like that before. Where for the holiday rush, they're like, "Yo,
It
we got
looks
one
sick.
fucking SKU." Like we were working in retail, and they were literally like parents that came in and like, "Yo, my kid wants a PS4." They're like, "Here's a PS4."
Yeah.
Like they didn't say, "Yo,
Didn't
here's
say,
your Destiny
yeah.
bundle." It was just crazy to me that it was like for several months the PS4 was $450
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
those base ones were that hard to
nuts.
get.
It did
Yeah.
look slick. I still think the PS4 is probably one of the best looking consoles of all time.
Really,
that
the
thing is
fucking
so
eraser?
I love it, dude. It's so fucking
It's
cool.
such a pain in the
so
ass to get the
cyber,
cables.
dude.
It's such a pain in the ass to get the cables in
Xbox
behind
One
that thing.
X.
Okay,
Yeah.
the One X
I li-
does
yeah.
look
The
cool.
One X
yeah.
is,
The
is
One
a
X looks
slick
great.
fucking
The-
piece
the
of
S looks
technology.
good, too. I wish-
the S does
yeah.
look good.
The S, actually,
and
I like
and-
the digital one because it doesn't have the disc drive, but it looks like a One
And
S.
I do,
Yeah.
I do like the PS4 now.
It looks better now.
Yeah.
I don't like the base PS4.
Yeah,
Also,
and-
I'm not a big fan of gloss
That's
on
one
my,
of the ugliest.
Well,
The original Xbox
yeah.
One.
I mean, Chris
Well,
looks
not-
cool
And
because
you're
you did
looking
some
at it
custom
right now.
ass
Way I
work to it.
painted mine,
But
but
like-
not Chris's was painted.
Me,
it's cool,
I've
but-
bitched about this before, but if you're if you're a gamer or a musician, you have a very just like gloss is your biggest enemy because they
Yeah,
like
why
the
do you
second
think-
you pull up that base PS4, that Xbox One out of the box, it looks.
You
gross.
should have seen this thing before I sanded it when I was painting it. It was
Oh,
like
yeah?
fingerprints from 10 years of fucking people.
I
like,
mean, now that all the PlayStation and Xboxes have matte finishes, but like
Yeah.
like at the time,
Great.
yeah,
Alright.
they were split,
My
right?
guitar's natural wood for a reason.
Yeah, it looks great.
always Matt.
Always matte. But that awareness worked. Like at that point, if you wanted to be integrated into the new generation of consoles, you knew what Destiny was.
Yeah.
Like they were able to kind of get that name out there in a very meaningful way.
I had a big community of Xbox friends. I'll get to this at the very end. But I knew people who played on PS4, and it was funny just to see somebody from like almost across the pond being as like we're separated by this weird paywall, but
Yeah.
we're still friends. Like they're just
Yeah.
as dedicated. And
I
there's
mean,
just
it
as
was
many
it was
things,
interesting to
like-
see salesmen talk to customers because the funny thing is Destiny was still coming out on PS3 and 360, and there were still a huge number of people that felt like they had to upgrade. Because you saw a lot of cross-gen games, like Watch Dogs was a big one, that first one.
Yeah.
Like there were people like, well, I got to get a PS4 for this new game. And
Watch
it's
Dogs is
like,
the first game I played on Xbox One.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's crazy, like to think that the marketing word was out there.
Yeah.
Like it was like if in your like if you're a casual consumer and you're like, well, this fucking huge game is going to be on the next generation platform, you're not even like conscious of the fact that it's also coming out on the 7-year-old
Yeah,
like console. Like, yeah,
it is wild. It is definitely wild.
but the messaging was
That's
there.
that's a strange era. I'll actually get into that. I have a little bit of personal stuff on that.
Yeah, because
So,
because they were hindered, they were held back by the fact that they had to support this.
So they announced that the alpha comes out the same month at E3. So alpha came out late June or whatever.
I played that.
Yeah,
You played the alpha?
yeah,
Wow. Okay. I played the beta, but I don't know if it was the beta was open. I
yeah.
think,
Alpha
right?
was just on PS4.
Yep.
Yeah,
Was
it
it?
didn't go. Yeah.
Okay.
We played it at my friend Shane's house. Like I would just kind of like watched him
Right.
mess around with it, like just sat around. It was cool. It's
Mm-hmm.
essentially the same as the beta.
Okay. That beta was pretty realized. Like the
So
game
the
felt
Beta
almost done.
comes out summer 2014. Played by 5 million people. It was like 4.9 something.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Me and Austin were talking about this on the drive here. We were saying how this and Overwatch were the last time we could think of where a beta worked.
Every
this well.
single person in my Xbox
Yeah.
Live friend group was playing the Overwatch beta.
Yeah.
Like, that is the reason I bought that game.
That was like that moment where you're like, oh shit, this is important. The
Yeah.
beta also was a larger portion of the game than I think people probably realized.
Oh,
like,
on Overwatch?
No, on
Destiny.
Destiny.
I was gonna say, Overwatch was the entire game. What do you mean? No, in Destiny, absolutely. It was the entire, it was the
Was
first...
it all of Earth?
It was all of the story for
all
Earth.
of the story
Yeah.
of Earth. It was all of the story missions and the last. No, it wasn't all of the story missions. I'm
No,
pretty
it was like half of
It
them.
was a couple story
Okay.
missions and then the strike. That was
Okay,
it.
all
And
right.
I ran that fucking strike, dude.
There was also the moon.
100 times.
There was one mission on the moon.
Oh yeah, they had one mission on the moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was like
yeah.
a sparse, like a couple of missions, and they had the strike for Earth, the Sepkus.
Forgive me
strike.
for asking this, just because this game has evolved so much over time, but how many areas were available in base Destiny 1? Were there
Vanilla
4?
Destiny,
4.
Earth, Moon, Mars, Venus, so forth. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
There was one area for each faction you fought.
Right.
So
Each
that
different type of
Earth
enemy.
was, oh god, I'm gonna
It
blank
mixed
on the
together.
names.
The
Earth was the Fallen.
Yeah.
The
and
moon-
Hive were also on there.
The Hive. The moon was where the Hive were, but the Fallen were also on the moon.
Venus.
Mercury, not Venus.
No, it was Venus.
Was it?
Yeah, Venus was the Vex, and there was also
Mercury
Fallen
was
there.
Destiny 2, damn it.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
Mars was the
yeah,
Cabal.
we
it was
almost did the
Vex.
same thing, yeah.
Yeah. But it's like the home world of each, because like the
This
Fallen
beta
are
was
Earth.
incredible. Like thinking
Played
back,
like a dream.
Thinking back
Yeah.
to this, I just like it played like a dream. I played that strike 100 times. I was just obsessed. No shooter had ever felt like this until Overwatch in my entire life.
Were all the classes available in that first beta?
No, you only got the. I'm pretty sure you only got the golden gun for the hunter. Like only like the base classes.
That's who
for
I
all of
played
the-
when it came out.
You got
so
you got hunter, warlock, and titan. You got all the classes.
but it
The
was you only got
subclasses, you
one
only got the
subclass of each? Okay.
It was incredible. Oh my
Yeah.
god, it was. So, September 9th, 2014, a year after it was promised originally, Destiny
That's video games that'll happen.
is released.
Yeah.
I don't know, for our listeners, if you like anime, I know you guys don't watch that much anime or at all. There's an anime called Sword Art
Oh, you
Online.
mean us. Yeah.
Yep.
Sword Art Online is about
Is that like Dot Hack?
it's like Dot Hack, but
Okay.
it's like honestly I think it's a little bit better than Dot Hack.
Sure.
The first season. It's about like it's a kid who goes into like this a VR video game in the future where it just like takes over your whole senses.
I like Summer Wars a lot.
classic
Is it
shit.
like that?
They get inside and like it gets taken over by a madman, and if you die in the video game, you die in real life.
Oh, like that
kind
Frankie
of shit.
Muniz movie.
Yeah. But basically, the point is, there's a part where he played like the beta. So the story starts on like the first day of the game being released, and it like launches up, and he puts it on, and the main character kind of has this like, it's good to be back. He's like looking around. He's like, oh, I'm better than these players. Like, like I know what's going on. I have a little bit of things. Like I remember this from the beta. I felt like that when I stepped into this game. I worked at GameStop when Destiny was released. It was actually
really?
the first midnight I ever worked. Like first
I was about
midnight
to ask
release.
if you bought the game. Me and Austin bought the game at midnight at GameStop.
Yeah,
so-
I didn't get to play it because I was working that midnight. But I took
We had to install it, but I
Yeah.
think we stayed up anyway.
I took it that night, went home, and I crashed immediately after I got off at 1 a.m. or
Yeah.
so. And I woke up that morning. I took off that whole week. I remember stepping back in and just being like, I'm back. But this
some
time I
Halo
can
3
go
shit.
past the fucking things I did in the beta. Oh my god. Nothing. I'll save it. I'm just going to Gus for a minute. Nothing was better than that moment when I was playing that game.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, just being back and finally getting to realize the potential of this game. All right, so I guess we're gonna weirdly, inorganically end this for this episode. Originally, I intended to be one episode. I didn't realize how long it would
And
go.
then we all got too caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cut it here. So it might seem a bit strange. We are recording this all in one session. So this is a bit of movie magic for you guys out there. It's a movie magic. So this will be the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we'll pick back up in the release of Destiny and why it all went wrong.
Yeah,
slash right.
The next one will be when this thing actually hits the shelves, and then
Yeah.
kind of its
Yeah.
post-launch sort of response.
Yeah, so hopefully that goes well. Thanks a lot for listening. I'll throw it over to Austin for plugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at HotButtonCast. We have a website, hotbuttoncast.com. You can find all our episodes there and more videos, what have you.
Some cool content coming
Yeah.
soon.
There's
hopefully,
links. There's
depending
links
on when
to
this
our.
comes out.
Yeah, true. There's links to our YouTube channel on there. I don't know how else to direct it to you to it because YouTube sucks. You can find our Spotify there, our iTunes there, our Google Play there. Subscribe, like on iTunes. I think I forgot to say that in part 2. But yeah, subscribe and like on iTunes. And Randy's got a little extra plug for you.
Yeah, so I know by the time this comes out, it's been a couple weeks, but if you still needed to catch up on some E3 news, then I highly recommend our roundup episode on the event. Despite being so ad-libbed, it's extremely informative. I just listened to it, and we really covered a whole lot for you guys. I'm sure there's still some things that we may have missed. I don't think we talked about anything in the PC game show or the Kind of Funny showcase, nor the actual cast of the Avengers game, which is probably the best thing it has going for it, I would say. But
Is Mark Ruffalo dead in that?
yeah. I think I missed. It was funny. This is just off the top of my head. I think I missed naming Sega when bringing up all the companies represented in Smash Brothers, which was pretty funny. I was like, because
Yeah.
it's just that list is so endless. Oh, and those Devolver bootleg games that we played
Yep.
were pretty hilarious.
Oh yeah, we
Hotline
didn't even mention
Milwaukee.
that. Did you guys play any?
We did.
Yeah, I bought it.
Oh
Yeah,
my god,
it's-
did you play the Milwaukee
Yeah.
Hotline
Hotline
Milwaukee? Is it
Milwaukee.
good?
Yeah, it's
It's
really
it's
funny.
really funny. It's almost like as if somebody was trying to port a bunch of Devolver games to Game Boy Advance or something. It's
Fantastic.
pretty good.
Oh,
But yeah, please check it out, and hopefully we can do more things like it in the future. That was
Yeah.
kind of an experimental
Yeah.
thing that we did
Yeah.
last minute. But
To add on,
if you want to break into news a little bit more, if that's something you like,
even if you know what happened at E3, if you like us, you like listening to us,
yeah.
give it a listen, and you can hit us up through any avenue you want. I don't know how the social medias work. DM us on one
Twitter,
of them.
yeah, Twitter
Yeah.
DM would probably
Twitter
be best.
DM,
Or you
whatever.
can email us at hotbuttoncast or no,
Hot
hotbuttonpodcast.
Hotbutton Podcast, I have to
gmail.com.
yeah.
You got any feedback for us? Hit us up. Let us know, because if you enjoyed it that much, we could branch more into that, or we could keep with these stories.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure this whole thing out. So any
but
feedback is
We could cover
appreciated.
some more conferences in the future.
Yeah.
Bigger events that go on where there's a lot of reveals or something like the Game Awards. Like that's yeah. we could definitely branch out into that stuff if that's something you guys like. So,
All right.
yeah.
And with that, we're going to call it
out.
here for today and
Tune
pick
in for
up
part 2.
And part 2.